The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
Hello and welcome to the Fantasy Football to the Max podcast. My name is Brandon Biskobing, and joining me tonight, as per usual, is Jason Teasley, aka Ginger Damas. How's it going?
Hey, what's up, everybody? How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. If you guys didn't listen last week, which you should definitely go listen to our quarterback and tight end rankings from last week. Be sure to go check it out. We talked about our top 10 quarterbacks and tight ends. And this week we go to the big game changers, the big number guys, the top guys in the draft, the running backs and the wide receivers. We're going to kick it off with the wide receivers. Do you want to go first with your... Well, do you want to go 1 to 10 or do you want to go... Let's go 10 to 1 to kind of build up the anticipation.
Okay, so, we can go in reverse order.
Let's change this. Yeah, I thought of that just now. Let's do reverse order to build up the anticipation for who our number one overall will be.
All right, I can dig that. So I'll go first, and I'll kick it off with my number 10 guy.
Okay.
My number 10 guy is it's actually a surprise. He's not even the number one guy on his team.
Okay.
But he's the number 10 in my heart, and that's Adam Thielen.
Okay.
Thielen from the Minnesota Vikings. I know he gets overshadowed by Diggs, but I think that he is the more reliable wide receiver. And I feel that they actually have a quarterback there that's going to be able to get him the ball in little intermediate routes. So in PPR, he's going to be a beast. And he has the ability to maybe shake a tackle or two and get some yards after catch.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. I'm going to take your Thielen and I'm going to raise you a Diggs because his number one on Minnesota, Stephon Diggs, is my number 10. While I get all the things that you're saying, I still think that Diggs is going to get most of the attention, and he's still going to rack up those yards and touchdowns and whatnot. Plus, he's good, as a short yardage guy. So if they get close to the goal line, yes, they also have a good running game, but he's going to be a target down in the red zone, and he's going to score a lot of touchdowns.
I'll see you that and tell you that Diggs ain't even in my top 15.
I figured as much, considering Thielen was at 10.
Yeah, so all right, throw your number 9 at me. See where your number 9 lands on my list.
My number 9 is out of Indianapolis, and this is another one. I know I had a lot of these last week, and I have a lot of these this week again. This is very conditional based around how healthy Andrew Luck is going to be this year. But my number 9 is T.Y. Hilton. I think as long as Luck is healthy, he will be a solid target for Luck and will rack up those yards and touchdowns.
Wow, I mean, you wasn't lying saying your top 10 was going to be way different than mine.
Yeah, I told you.
I mean, I like T.Y., but I think that Luck is pretty much the key factor, and I don't see Luck being, even if he does come back, I don't see him playing at the level he is. So yeah, I don't even have T.Y. Well, T.Y. did make my top 15. I'll give you that. But my number 9 is also a conditional pick because he's going to rely a lot on a second-year quarterback who has never started and is being thrust into a QB1 role. And that's Tyreek Hill. I think that Hill has all the physical attributes because, I mean, he is lightning quick. But you can be the fastest guy on the field. If you can't get the ball, you can't.
Yeah,
that doesn't mean anything.
that's what drops Hill out of my top 10 is the uncertainty at the quarterback position in Kansas City.
But I mean, I'll give a little shout out to a W2M cohort, and I'm going to take a Chief and put him in my top 10 wide receivers.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure I'll get some MMA to the max bonus points.
Oh,
with that
yes. One. Yeah, I'm sure you will. I'm sure Robert will love that. Who's your number 8?
My number 8 is actually, this is a lot of conditional stuff because I'm hoping this quarterback can come back for just because I own this guy in so many dynasty leagues. And I'm going to go with Mike Evans at number 8.
Okay.
A big, strong receiver can go up, get the ball, but like I said, depends a lot on his quarterback. Winston, I'm losing faith in because sometimes he flashes brilliance, sometimes he's trying to steal crab legs with his thought process. But I think Mike Evans is an unreal physical specimen at wide receiver. I just think he needs a quarterback to go along with his attributes, and I honestly don't think Winston's the answer.
Yeah, Evans misses out on my top 10 for that precise reason, that Winston is just too unreliable right now. And not only that, Winston, while we've seen some moments of improvement, he is still very much that college type run first quarterback. So it's, how is he going to get the ball if Winston, as soon as there's any pressure, he's running instead of trying to pass it?
And you got a lot of mouths to feed in Tampa Bay now.
Yeah.
I mean, O.J. Howard, they just added a phenomenal, one of my top running back prospects, and Ronald Jones III. That if anybody wants to check that out, go check out our draft coverage. But I think there's going to be a lot of mouths to feed, and I don't know if Winston can keep everybody happy.
No, I don't. I highly doubt it. Tampa Bay is going to have a lot of problems this year. I think precisely for that reason, because Winston is not mature enough and is not enough of a field general to, and I don't think he has enough respect in that locker room to not avoid that powder keg.
I can fully agree with you there.
My number 8 is going out west, and that is Doug Baldwin from Seattle. I think with Seattle, I mean, even with all the injuries that they had last year, Seattle still was able to make the playoffs. And I think this year, with a healthy team all around, I think he's going to have a very good year.
I mean, I can't deny that. I mean, Russell Wilson's coming off the number 1 fantasy football points last year. So, I mean, Baldwin was a huge contributor to that. So, I can get behind that. I just don't. Baldwin he's in my top 15, but not my top 10. So, I'm just curious who the upper echelon you're going to leave out in the cold.
Okay. My number 7 is Keenan Allen.
Okay, we got one that we agree on in the top that at least made my top 10.
Okay. I think Keenan Allen will definitely Actually, I take that back. He's at 6 for me. My 7 is Devontae Adams.
Okay, well.
Well,
I see. I disagree. I don't have Devontae Adams in my top 10. Simply because I think that I give Aaron Rodgers all the credit there, but I think the loss of Jordy is going to hurt Devontae a lot more than what people expect.
But I think that the loss of Jordy, while it may hurt them in the beginning of the season, Devontae becomes that big number one. He is the big wide receiver in Green Bay. And Aaron Rodgers, while he's not quite to the level of Tom Brady, he is that type of quarterback that no matter who he has out there as a receiver, he makes them good.
But you also got to factor in, look at the big free agent that Green Bay added. That's going to cut into that point total and that big target with Jimmy Grant at tight end. So that contributed why I didn't have Devontae in up there. So we're at number 7.
Yes.
Number seven is a guy that I think if he had anybody else as a quarterback instead of having somebody a middle of the road quarterback for all his career, I think he could have been an elite receiver. I mean, he's already an elite receiver, but I think he would be talked about as one of the all-time greats. But unfortunately, he plays in Cincinnati. Andy Dalton's his quarterback, and I have to go A.J. Green with my 7th slot.
Okay. I have AJ a little higher than that. Who's your number 6?
Number 6 is number 6 might surprise you. I think his future is going to depend on the predecessor to his aging quarterback, and that's Michael Thomas. I think Michael Thomas is a phenomenal wide receiver who can spread the field. Great hands, can go up vertically for the ball. But Drew Brees is getting up there in years, so I think you might, once Brees leaves, if they don't bring in a nice successor to Brees, Thomas' value could slip. Yeah. But as it stands right now with Brees at the helm, I still got him. I got him at 6.
Thomas is one of those upper echelon guys that drops in my ranking. He's not in my top 10 precisely for that reason. I'm worried about how Brees is going to be this year, and if he gets any sort of injury, it's over.
Yeah, but they're playing in a weak division too. A no defense division.
That's true.
That helps me put him up there, and I don't think the Saints. The reason for me putting him up there, the NFC South isn't known for ball control. You got some of the best quarterbacks there, and some of the worst defenses. So a lot of teams are going to be slinging the ball.
That's true.
There's a lot of points for just garbage time points and just big play availability that helps push Thomas up my list into the number 6 spot.
Yeah. At 6, I mentioned him before. It's Keenan Allen. I think that he will have a solid year out in LA.
See, I have Keenan Allen at 5, so
okay.
I mean, we can knock this out real good. I think Keenan Allen, as long as he stays healthy, is going to be great, especially with the injury to Hunter Henry.
Mm-hmm.
I think that gives him a little bump up the rankings a little bit because everybody was looking for Hunter Henry to cut into productivity of Allen, but now with Mike Williams back still in question, they got to throw the ball somewhere. And I think Keenan Allen is a huge benefactor to that Phillip Rivers led offense.
It's all Phillip Rivers. At 5, I have someone you talked about earlier, AJ Green. Yes, I know the quarterback situation in Cincy isn't exactly the greatest, but I mean, they haven't had a good quarterback in Cincinnati his entire career. And he's still managed to put up top numbers. So I think he's fine. He'll do fine. And he will still have a very good year.
Okay, so now we're getting into the big question marks because you're going to leave one of these. I have a feeling that these top four. Well, you still got to do your five, but the top four I think might be interchangeable.
No, that was my 5. AJ Green was 5.
Okay. So I'm saying the top 4 is going to be interchangeable for us.
Yes.
I'm guessing.
Oh, yeah.
At number 4, I'm going to go, and I know that this is going to sound stupid. I'm going to go Julio at number 4.
Wow.
Wait till you hear my top 3. How I got him ranked.
Okay, that's going to be interesting.
Julio is just, I mean, he's a physical freak. Like I said, we talked about the NFC South being no defense league. Matt Ryan is one of the most underrated quarterbacks. I mean, he's great. I mean, he gets some accolade. But I don't think people give him the credit that he actually deserves. He kind of flies under the radar and he puts up tremendous games. So that's what's got Julio there. I mean, they got Sanu and they added Ridley across for depth. So I think that's going to take a lot of pressure off. A lot of pressure off what Julio is actually going to do. So it's going to open up his game a little bit.
Yeah, that's why I have him a little higher than you do. At 4, I have DeAndre Hopkins. He's an outstanding athlete. He's an outstanding wide receiver. But especially with Deshaun Watson coming off of an injury, we talked about it last week with the quarterback situation. With him coming off of an injury and with the whole sophomore slump situation, he's still going to put up numbers, but he may not be as high as some people are anticipating him to be.
I got Hopkins in my next slot simply because of that. I think Watson's road to recovery pretty much dictates where Hopkins lands. My top 3 are, they're like so close.
Oh, yeah. All of these top 4 are basically interchangeable for me.
Yeah, we'll talk about this a little bit more with one of my other selections. An injury could, tumble somebody out of this, and it doesn't even have to be an injury to your quarterback or yourself. I mean, a complimentary guy could get injured and switch all the focus, team's defense focus on you, and that hampers. So I think, like you said, these top 4 are interchangeable. So with that being said, who you got next?
At number 3?
Yeah.
My number 3 is OBJ.
See,
you have him at 2.
I was wondering where he was going to slide him in. No, he's not my 2.
He's number 1?
He's my 1.
Wow.
Reason being is, we'll go ahead and talk about it since we're going to go ahead and talk about it. So, give me the reason why you dropped him to 3.
Just because the 2 guys above him just have more experience, and I just feel like they have more dynamic offenses. I mean, the fact that they got Barkley obviously helps. He's going to have an outstanding year, but especially with him coming off of an injury, it may be a bit of a slow start. He may need to get a little bit of field rust off, and that may slip him down a little bit.
Okay, the reasons why he's my number one is one, they added a dynamic run game that takes the
Yes.
pressure off Eli for the passing
Oh,
game.
yes, I'll agree with that.
Second, also, Evan Ingram emerged as a primary receiver that
I'll agree with that.
helps defenses key on a big tight end, thus opening up the field for OBJ. And lastly, he's playing for a contract. He
Mm.
has a he has a chip on his shoulder. He's a big distraction. I mean, we're both Giants fans. We know
Mm-hmm.
what kind of distraction he can be.
Yeah.
But I think he's going to go out with something to prove that either it's going to be, I'm going to get paid in New York or I'm going to get paid elsewhere after this year. So I think that chip on his shoulder is going to drive him a little bit harder than previous years. And like I said, he is coming off an injury, but he
Mm-hmm.
suffered that injury in week 4.
Yeah.
So he's almost had a complete year to recover. I mean, it's not like Carson Wentz that went down late in the season with an ACL. I mean, he broke his leg. A broken bone heals 8 weeks tops. You rehab it, and with rehab facilities and doctors in the NFL, you're basically bionic when you come back.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as osteoporosis don't set in, I think he's going to be good. I think he's going to come back, and like I said, he's coming back with a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah. I'll agree with that. I mean, like I said, all of these guys, all of these 4 are pretty much interchangeable. Anyway, if someone is available in your draft, you want to take them.
Yeah, I mean, these 4 receivers, you're not going to be let down landing any of these 4 receivers as your top wide receiver.
No. This is just purely, subjective based off of what we're thinking going into the season. Who do you have at 2?
At 2, I got DeAndre Hopkins.
Oh, okay.
I think that it's basically the fact that he does have a young quarterback that made magic together. Like I said, it was an early injury. Watson, their abilities in question, but I mean, Hopkins is a freak of nature. I mean, he still was in the upper echelon last year after Watson went down. So I think that keeps him at a 2 because he can stretch the field, but he can also do magic when he catches the ball underneath intermediate routes. He's got the ability to take it to the house at any given time. So that's why I have him at 2.
Wait, did you give me your 3? I don't think you gave me your 3.
No.
No,
No, I got. No, Hopkins is my 3. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I was like looking. I was like, wait. Yeah, Hopkins is my 3.
Oh, okay. Who's your 2 then?
AB, Antonio Brown.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my 2 is Julio Jones, and then number 1 for me is Antonio Brown. I just think, with that Pittsburgh offense, he's gonna be absolutely dominant.
Well, what dropped AB for me? Which I mean, like I said, these top 4
Are
definitely
pretty much interchangeable. Oh yeah.
What dropped him for me is the emergence of Juju.
That is true. I'll give you that.
I think Juju may take more of a step forward, and I hope he don't hit a sophomore slump. But the fact that you've got 2 great receivers, and Juju still has a lot of growing to do, mentally and physically. So I think that just doesn't fully eclipse, but it casts a big enough shadow to drop AB's numbers just down enough to make him basically he's my 1B. I mean, I got OBJ and Brown right there at 1A, 1B.
Yeah. The only thing about that, and this is why, this is one of the reasons why Beckham dropped a little bit for me, is that I think while yes, Juju Smith-Schuster. It'll take away some targets from him. At the same time, it will also spread out that defense. So the defense, while yes, Sterling Shepard is a serviceable wide receiver, he's not a guy that necessarily a team is going to focus enough on where OBJ will be open more often. They're still going to try to double team OBJ as much as possible. Whereas in Pittsburgh, with both Brown and Smith-Schuster, you have that two-headed monster where the defense honestly doesn't really know where to go. Yes, Antonio Brown is the bigger name, is the more seasoned veteran, is probably the better wide receiver. But Smith-Schuster last year showed that he is a very good wide receiver. And I think defenses are going to be very wary of, we can't really focus our energy too much on one or the other. So both of them equally, if they're open, Roethlisberger's going to find them. So they're going to get a lot of targets, a lot of catches, a lot of yards, and a lot of touchdowns, both of them. I would be, both of those, Smith-Schuster not quite as much as Antonio Brown, obviously, but both of those would be very solid fantasy wide receivers going into 2018.
Yeah, like you said, you brought up Shepard. I don't think Shepard's the one that's going to be the asset to OBJ. I think it's going to be more Ingram than Shepard.
I'll agree with that. But I was just bringing up the two-headed wide receiver monster concept.
Yeah, well, I agree with that. But you got two wide receivers that can spread the field. Schuster doesn't like to work underneath, and AB will not work underneath. He's not going to go across the middle and stuff.
That's true.
With a tight end like Ingram that can take that underneath, keep your linebackers honest.
Not
OBJ
just your linebackers, but also your safety.
Yeah, OBJ ain't going to cross the middle much, but unless it's a quick slant. But I think that that tight end is what's going to be key. And I'm sorry, but Pittsburgh hasn't had a real serviceable tight end in a while.
No, Heath Miller was decent, but or is decent, excuse me, but
Yeah, we're already talking about him in past tense.
Pretty much. Okay, you want to move on to running backs now?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do the running backs.
Okay.
Because this is where we're going to get in. I'm sure, because one in particular is going to be a nice little discussion.
Oh, yes. Okay, do you want to start off, or should I?
Yeah, I'll start off with my number 10.
Okay.
My number 10, it deals with a lot of health issues, but he's coming off one of his best years of his career. He's got that nice West Coast sunshine, and that is Melvin Gordon. He lost the PPR nightmare and touchdown vulture last year when he got shipped away, and he got basically the backfield to himself for the most part. He thrived. He showed that he can be a bell cow running back, but like I said, there's always in the back of your head, there's always his durability concerns. But he's shedding that a little bit, and I think he's good enough to be my RB10 this year.
I have him actually higher than you do. My number 10 is coming out of Buffalo, and that is LaShawn McCoy. Especially with the uncertainty at quarterback, and with them not having a ton of... yes, they do have... oh, wow, I'm drawing a complete blank on his name. He was in Carolina.
Stewart?
Yeah, no, wide receiver. What?
Oh, Benjamin.
Yeah, Kelvin Benjamin. With Benjamin there, yeah, that gives the passing game some options and some dynamic play capability. But I think, especially with the uncertainty of a quarterback, and I'm assuming a rookie quarterback starting in Buffalo, McCoy's going to get a lot of uh, opportunities, especially in the beginning of the season. So I think he's going
Okay,
to have a decent year this year.
that's a solid pick. I mean, he was my number 11. So
Mm.
I mean, I had him right outside the top 10. So number 9, this is on you. This is your volley. I'm curious where you
Okay,
you, you
my
land.
my number 9 is Devonta Freeman out of Atlanta. I think, especially with the passing game being so strong in Atlanta, he's going to get a lot of those carries, play action, and he's going to be able to get some decent yards. He's not going to get, crazy numbers, but he'll be a very solid running back for your fantasy team.
All right, I've got him at 13. I think that the guys I have ahead of him are a little bit better.
Okay.
But the what hurts me on my idea of Freeman is you got Coleman right there too. That they do
That's
got
true.
that 1-2 punch, and it's a pretty even. It's not 50-50, but it's skewed enough to keep his numbers in check.
Mm-hmm.
So my number 9 is a kid that everybody has a lot higher, and I'm sure you do too. But I think that a lot of teams got tape on him last year in his rookie season, and I think that he's gonna hit a sophomore slump this year, and that is Kareem Hunt.
I have him slightly higher, not over the top higher, but yes.
I think a lot of teams have more tape on him than what they did last year. You got a rookie quarterback, so they're going to rely a little bit more on the run. He's going to see a lot more stacked boxes on defense than what he's seen last year. So I think it's possible. I could be wrong. He could have another great year, but I'm just worried about the fact that Mahomes is going to be under center, and
I mean,
that's two Chiefs I have in my top 10 prime positions.
that's I mean, those are good points that you make, but I think I'm trying to think what's their wide receiver core look like this year.
I mean, you got um, Sammy Watkins,
Okay.
Tyreek Hill,
Okay.
uh, Kelsey at
Okay.
tight end.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Actually, okay. That's all I need to know. With them being able to have a solid, even with a rookie quarterback, a solid underneath passing game and a good offensive line. They didn't lose anyone, I don't think, from their offensive line from last year. Um, I I think Hunt will still have a good year, just because while yes, there's going to be some extra pressure on him. I still think he'll have. I think the Chiefs will still be okay this year.
Um, I don't know. I mean, I hope. I mean, they got all the talent there offensively.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, there's a lot of possibilities for people to thrive, but it's a feast or to me, it's feast or famine.
Oh, definitely,
Resting
definitely.
resting on an unproven quarterback's
Yes.
shoulders.
Oh, it's definitely going to be a very big question mark this year. Kansas City is going to be a very interesting team to watch this year. Uh, at 8 for me, I have Melvin Gordon.
Okay.
I think I think the Chargers are gonna, while they won't win the AFC West or anything, I think they'll make some decent plays and they'll have a decent season this year.
Um, that was your 8.
Yes.
So actually, my 8 is somebody that the only reason why having this low is all the receivers that was in this place are gone. They're going to do nothing but lean on the running game, and they've got a subpar quarterback. So we're going to throw Eric a bone and go Leonard Fournette right here.
See, I have him outside of my top 10.
And that's understandable because he has nobody to take that pressure off of the run game.
Exactly.
So that's why I have him right there at 8. And the only reason why I have him at 8 is because he's going to get fed the ball so much, it's going to be hard for him not to put up numbers.
Mm-hmm. Who's your 7?
You ready for this?
Yep.
This is going to shock a lot of people. Ezekiel Elliott.
Okay, I definitely have him lower than most people would think, but, not quite that low.
Only reason why I have him at low is the absence of Dez. Now,
it's pretty much the same reason why you have Leonard Fournette so low, because they have no passing game.
I mean, they got a great young quarterback. Don't get me wrong. I mean, as a Giants fan, I hate to say that Dak is a good quarterback. I mean, he showed that he can succeed when given the tools. The fact that they did not, the Cowboys had every chance to fill the void that Dez was leaving behind with one of the 3 premier receivers in the draft, and they didn't.
Cowboys gonna Cowboys.
Yeah, so hi, Sean. How are you? So I think that is a huge blow, and I don't think that the Cowboys have the defense to stop teams.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to be playing from behind a lot. When you play from behind, you don't get to run the ball very much.
Yes.
You got to throw a lot. So unless he's going to catch a ton of screen passes,
he is good. I mean, I will admit he is good as a passing running back.
Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, Ezekiel Elliott's a beast. I mean, I think he's athletically. I just think it's the team around him that caused me to drop him so low. And honestly, I didn't want to drop him out of my top 5.
Mm-hmm.
But
there's
just no help there.
Yeah.
I mean, it falls solely on him and Dax. There's no Witten, no Dez. I mean, Alan Hearns is currently penciled in as their main wide receiver. And when you talk Alan Hearns as your primary target, you got some issues.
You're going to have a bad day.
So, yeah, I mean, I hate to drop him that low, but God, it's the team around him.
What was that, 7 for you?
That was my 7.
Okay. My 7 is someone you talked about earlier, Kareem Hunt. Like I mentioned, I think Kansas City will still be okay enough that he will still get decent numbers. So, my 6 we already talked about just there. I've got Elliott 1 spot higher than you do at 6.
Okay, so now I don't feel so bad, but of course we're going to hear it from Sean saying that we're Giants homers. We're Giants homers, and
you know he's going to be saying this, especially considering where we have Barkley.
Well, where you have Barkley.
Okay.
Barkley is next on my list.
Oh, you have him at 6?
He's right outside my top 5. And the only reason is, I mean, we're both Giants fans. We're both going to follow this closely as possible. I just don't think. I just worry that he will not. He had a couple of games in college, big games. He didn't show up. I think it's a maturity level. I think the kid's a physical specimen beyond belief. He's got all the tools there. I think it's a confidence issue. And I think him being in New York, I'm pretty sure OBJ is going to help line that confidence issue out real quick. So for right now, I've got him at 6, right outside the top 5. And there's a lot of young running backs above him. I just think the fact that he is a rookie, he's coming into the league. He had the tendency in college to disappear in big games, but I'm hoping, as a Giants fan, that he can alleviate that and hopefully get us more than 2 wins this year.
I'm gonna put him higher, and I'll tell you why when we get to that pick.
Okay.
Who's your number 5?
My number 5 is Dalvin Cook.
Wow.
Yeah. Coming off injury, I think that the reason why I place him so high is before his injury, he flashed great running back abilities, but they went out and they added a legit quarterback this year. And we've seen what McKinnon did in that offense last year. Now you upgrade your quarterback that can actually spread the ball around a little bit more. You don't lose much on the line. You pretty much got the nucleus of the team back. And you still got a pretty mean defense, which means once you get a lead, you're going to grind the ball out. So you want to see a lot of running up the middle and Cook getting the lion's share of carries, the clock management and everything. So that's why I have him at 5.
See, I have him lower just because, I have him out of my top 10 just because, like you mentioned, it's going to be a whole new offense this year. They lost their offensive coordinator. They lost their head coach. No, they did. Did they lose their head coach? I'm trying to think.
I don't think so.
No, but they did lose
I was going to say.
Yeah,
I was going to say if they lost their head coach or something.
No, they lost their offensive coordinator though, so it's going to be a whole new offense this year. New quarterback. He's still going to have a good year, but I think there's going to be a little bit of working out the kinks to work with in the beginning of the season. And I don't think Minnesota is going to be nearly as good as they were last year.
So I'm going to take a stab and say you got our boy here as your next one.
Nope. I have him even higher.
You have him higher than 5?
Yep.
Wow.
I have Alvin Kamara at number 5.
I'm in the same ballpark as you. I've got him at 4.
Okay.
And that's because of the bump he got due to the suspension of Ingram.
Mm-hmm.
I think I had him a little lower. Then the Ingram suspension happened. That bumped him up in my book. It's 4 games. He's going to be showcased. My concern is, just like Hunt, I think a lot of teams are going to have some more tape on him, going to be prepared. But it's the NFC South.
And also it's pre. I know I talked about this contrarily earlier when it came to who was it? Their key wide receiver.
Michael Thomas.
Yeah, Michael Thomas. There we go. But as long as Breeze is healthy and he's throwing the ball around, he's still gonna get some good yardage just because that Saints offense, in spite of how well they did in the running game last year with both Kamara and Hunt, or excuse me, Kamara and oh wow, you just said it, Cooks.
Ingram.
Yeah, there we go. with both Kamara and Ingram as that two-headed monster, that team is still known as a pass-first offense. So the running game, even no matter how good it is still going to play second fiddle in a defensive mindset. So he's still going to get a lot of yards.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of his yards last year came off of screen passes that he took for big chunks of yardage.
True, but that helps.
That,
It doesn't matter how you get the yards in fantasy as long as you're getting them.
Exactly. So, am I going to? Is Barkley your 4?
Yes.
Okay, because I was going to say if you broke up the trinity of top 3s, I was going to be worried. I was sweating.
Yes, Barkley is at 4, and I hear everything you're saying about the confidence issue and how he, cracks under pressure and everything. If he was in the other team that has MetLife Stadium, that calls MetLife Stadium home, then I'd be worried about that. But this is the Giants. This is the team that is very well run. The Maras do a great job. Yes, you've got a first-year head coach, so you're gonna have a bit of that issue. But I think Eli Manning, especially after the vote of confidence that the Maras gave him at the end of last season and in the offseason, saying that he is our quarterback for the foreseeable future, Eli Manning is going to mold Saquon Barkley into a great running back. So I think he'll be fine, and I think Manning also, because he was a top draft pick, he will be able to teach Barkley how to handle the pressure of playing in New York and the New York media and all of that. And I think as long as Barkley starts off well, he will have a great season.
Well, we didn't really address the offensive line as much as I wish we would have. I mean, we got a steal in the second round with Hernandez. Mm-hmm. What is it? Solder came over from the Pats.
Yep.
So, I mean, we did address some offensive line, but I don't know if just adding. I would have liked to see a little bit more.
So would have I. But I think the picks that I think the pickups that they made in the offseason, both in the draft and in free agency, I think it will be enough to solidify that offensive line to where both Eli and Barkley will have a good year.
Oh, I'm right there with you. I mean, like I said, it's known that we're Giants fans, so we're hoping that all this shakes out. So all right, we got to the top 3. It looks like our top 3 is the same 3 guys. I'm just curious what order we're going to go in.
Okay, do you want to go? You go first. Well, did you give me your number 4?
Yeah.
Okay.
My number 4 was Kamari.
Kamari, right. Okay, who's your number 3?
My number 3 is David Johnson.
Okay, same here.
He's coming back off a broken wrist, which, I mean, it put him out all season. Makes me wonder if the injury was a little bit more than what they reported as a broken wrist.
Well, I mean, broken wrist, you got to think about it. Even if it heals, that your wrist is the primary thing that's holding the ball in your arm.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm just thinking that they shut him down. You can go one of two ways. Either the injury was more than what was a more severe break than what they initially reported, or it was a bad enough break. He's a franchise running back. We can pump the brakes on this and don't need to rush him back. Let's err on the side of caution. And, he could have came back. And
what was their record last year?
I'm not sure. Let me look it up real
I
quick.
think they were pretty low. Like, weren't they last in the West last year?
I'm pretty sure they were.
So that could be the case where they let it heal
Just shut it. Yeah,
completely.
that's what I was saying. They said the season's
Yeah, the season's
the
a
season's a
bust.
wash. So let's err on the side of caution. Okay, let's see here. Because I think he went down early in the season. Um, last year they were 8-8.
Yeah, so, but I think they started off really weak. I think they were pretty much out of contention relatively early. So I think they basically kept him out because they knew the season was done.
Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm pretty sure that was a case too. He was probably eligible to come back like around week 12, 13, and they're like, well, the season's done. Let's not risk it.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go ahead and shut him down for the year. So
Yeah.
I can see that happening.
My number 2 is Todd Gurley.
See, he's my number 1.
Okay. I think the Rams as a team, as a whole, I think they're still going to be a good team, but I think the team as a whole is kind of going to have that sophomore slump of where that momentum of, it's a young team, young head coach, all of this, you've got that dynamic offense. I think it's going to start to slow down and simmer down a little bit this year.
See, I'm opposite. I think you trade Sammy Watkins, he leaves town, you replace him with a better receiver with Brandon Cooks.
True, I'll give you that.
You still got Robert Woods, you still got Coop, and Jared Goff actually has confidence now. He got a taste of winning last year. He got that little giddy up in his step, and I think that gave him a drive force to step up. So I'm honestly thinking, and like I said, this goes back to what I said earlier. They can run the clock down, which means their defense is scary good this year. I don't see a lot of teams moving the ball very well. So you're going to have a lot of carries where Gurley can get the ball, will have the ball in his hands, and he can break it at any time. But also, it's a clock management position, and the fact that he's going to have the ball in his hands to control the clock means more opportunities to break one at any given time. So that's why he's my number 1. So we just had our 1 and 2 reversed. I'm assuming.
Yep. Yeah.
I'm assuming Bell's your number 1.
Yes, Le'Veon Bell is my number 1.
Well, see, he's my number 2, based on attitude alone. I think the fact that he's wanted, I understand why he's upset. They franchise tagged him again, but I think it's the last year they can franchise tag him. He has to get a contract. So the fact that instead of saying, look, I'll play, I'll prove it that I deserve this big contract, he wants to take his ball and go home. That sets kind of ill of me. Plus, I hate Pittsburgh Steelers anyway.
I'll understand that point.
Great. I think Bell's great. But also they've got a guy right behind him that could be good too, in Connor. And honestly, I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to make a bold prediction.
Okay.
I don't think Bell finishes the season as a Pittsburgh Steeler.
Wow.
Reason being is, how many times have you seen the front office in Pittsburgh not want to deal with a player that is out there. I mean, they threatened they was getting ready to get rid of Roethlisberger when all the rape charges came up. They're a very family-oriented team.
Oh, yeah.
They pride themselves on their image. I think Mike Tomlin is one of the best coaches. As much as I hate the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think Mike Tomlin is one of the better coaches in football.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, he has the shady, tripping guys there on kick returns, but hey, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. But I think that causes Bell to take a step back. Is your attitude reflects a lot of things, and I think that if he keeps it up, he's going to not be in a Pittsburgh uniform. He could be somewhere where winning isn't known.
Yes.
As much. They could ship him off to Oakland. They could ship him off to, let's see, where else? They could ship him off to the Jets.
They could ship him off to Cleveland.
I mean, Cleveland's got a solid. They got Chubb and
that's true.
Hyde and Chubb there now. So I mean, they could ship him off to, or I mean, it could work out to his advantage, and he gets shipped off to Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that he should look and say, okay, I could be wearing gangrene and be part of the dumpster fire that's the Jets.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, they could ship him off. I mean, I don't think they would because they're divisional rivals. He could end up in Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a lot of things that could happen. I mean, it's just one of those things. Squeaky wheel gets seen a lot, but Pittsburgh doesn't like squeaky wheels.
Yeah. Oh, no, I completely understand that. I think that he'll, he's annoyed right now, but I think as the season progresses, he's going to realize, hey, this is the last time they can franchise tag me. So therefore, I'm getting paid as long as I do my work this year. And that's going to motivate him to have a monster year this year.
Well, let's see what happens. But, I mean, that's all of our... We've ran down our top 10 primary positions in fantasy football. We don't care about kickers or defenses. But our next show is going to be a big one because we're going to be kind of going head to head.
Well, I had something because how were we going to do this? Were we going to do it like a 12-team league or something?
Yeah, we was going to do a 12-team mock draft.
I think we do a little bit of a special on this one and bring in the other guys.
You want to go? Who else could we get, you think?
We could bring in Harry and Eric both, and each of us get 3 teams.
So you want to do it as a crossover? You want to do a crossover?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm down for that. We can do it.
So that instead of us each have 6 teams, we each just get 3.
Well, I mean, we're not picking teams. We're picking as if we're drafting a fantasy football team.
No, I know this, but instead of having 6 picks each, it would just be 3 each.
So okay, I mean, I'm down if we can get Eric and Harry on here, do a cross promotion, fantasy football to the max / kickoff special. I'm down for it.
Let's do it.
I have no problem with that. Maybe we could even talk somebody. Maybe we could even get one more. We could maybe even get Sean.
I'm not sure about that, considering how.
Well, no, I'm talking about Sean taking the role of Roger Goodell and just being the commissioner of the draft.
Okay, that works.
And him just overseeing, and that way we don't have to have a host. We can have Sean host, and then we just kind of maybe we could talk Sean into hosting, depending on what he's got on his docket.
Yeah, we'll talk about this week. This probably won't be next week. It'll probably be like the week after.
Yeah,
So we've got some
it'll probably be in
time
2 weeks.
Yeah, so that
Because,
everyone has time to prepare and everything.
Well, that and the fact that for the next foreseeable future, all my evenings are going to be tied up working on my new property that I just bought.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
So
yeah.
I mean, let's shoot for 2 weeks from. Let's shoot for a 2-week crossover special.
Yep, let's do it. So yeah, in a couple of weeks we'll have a kickoff kickoff fantasy football to the max crossover mock draft for a 2-round mock draft with us and Harry Broadhurst and Eric Watkins. So be sure to tune in for that. Anything else we gotta talk about before we go?
Just if you enjoy listening to us, check out everybody else on the W2M network. I mean, you can. We got the MVP over there. Brandon's on just about every show possible.
Pretty much. I've got the Raw review on Monday nights, SmackDown Live review, and 205 Live review on Tuesday nights, NXT review Thursday nights, and Harry and I, once he gets up to the beginning of Nitro, we will start How the War Was Won, which is, we will discuss week by week the happenings of the Monday Night Wars from the beginning all the way up until the end. So, yeah, lots of things to listen to on the W2M network. And you can listen to it on all of your podcast listening, all your podcast listening apps and websites and all of that, including, eventually, Spotify is coming soon.
And from my understanding, we have sold our soul, and we will be selling you much other products here in the near future.
Yes.
So, with that being said, I bid you adieu.
Yes. Until in a couple of weeks, we bid you adieu, and good night, goodbye, moi, and good night. Bang.